On to December 30th. Looks like it's going to be a nice sunny day. You want to stretch my arms above my head. Joints on my elbows click. Don't know what time it is. There isn't a clock in the room. There's only a couple of bookcases, an old desk, and my futon. Birds outside are twittering desperately, intent on boasting that, yes, despite the cold weather and all the falling snow, they're still alive and well. They survived. I just feel like congratulating them. Sunlight spills across the tatami mat, picking out of individual motes of dust that swim in the air like goldfish. Maybe this is a dream. I don't feel fully awake yet. Head is killing me. I don't think I got enough sleep last night, but can you really blame me? Those now proved to be a rather difficult task, given my ears were constantly assailed by the sounds of snowfall, and the wind kept sneaking through the window panes to nibble my toes. I think I must have woken up 4 or 5 times in the night. I was able to get back to sleep soon enough, no small amount of shivering, but the disruptive experience left me feeling groggy. Shake my head and slap my cheeks with the palms of my hands. Probably look like death. If Toku could see me like this, hair mussed up and my skin sallow, she'd probably laugh at me. Then again, Toku laughs no matter what I look like. As I sit there, the covers of my futon draped about my knees. Something catches my attention. Not the birds singing outside, or the dust in the air, or the solid chill that clings to my skin, making me shiver. It's the smell of food. My grandmother must be cooking. Something starts to rumble like an old washing machine. I'm bigger than I thought it was. Get to my feet and throw on my clothes, which are folded neatly by the side of my futon. I'm not the sort who strews with things willy-nilly about the room, particularly not when I'm a guest. That's more Toku's thing. Toes curl against the tatami mats. I felt uncomfortably cool against my bare skin. Where did I put my socks? One of them was laying with the rest of my clothes, but the other seems to have disappeared. Was it spirited away in the night? You. Grandmother calls out to me, voice muffled and indistinct through the walls. Are you coming to breakfast? Grandma is not the kind of person who shouts. Never had to. Grandfather's lungs were large enough for the pair of them. I guess my grandfather's death is when she had another mantle she had to don for herself. Perhaps that's why her voice sounds a little funny. Being forced into a role she's not accustomed to. Or maybe I'm just overthinking things. I'm coming. Just a second. Alright, dear. Don't be too long, though. I don't want your food to go cold. I'm making some nice, hearty rice porridge to keep your strength up. Mom used to make me rice porridge whenever I got sick. It's a nice, nourishing meal that always reminds me of my childhood. Well, some people might say I'm still a child, and my mother certainly thinks that. Before she babys me, though I'm legally an adult now. Almost 20. I'm still far, far younger than my grandmother. And you? Yes, what is it? There's something I need to talk to you about. Oh, wonder what it could be. Snow hasn't caused any serious damage to a house, has it? I hope not. Maybe since I'm here, my grandmother wants me to help her out with some housework, washing the dishes and sweeping the floor. That sounds fair. Grandfather always used to help her with that. Grandfather isn't here anymore. I managed to find my missing sock, tucked away beneath the bookcase, looking very sad and forlorn, all by itself. The right sock is secured in second, and I soon slide it onto my frigid left foot. Task completed, I call out to my grandmother. Right, I'm coming. I exit the storage room and close the door behind me. My feet padded through the familiar living room, filled with the homey scent of wood smoke and green tea. TV sits in the corner, screen blank like or black like the water at the bottom of a well. And Lisette regards me reproachfully with her glassy blue eyes. With her high, haughty forehead and her pursued, calming lips, I swear it looks like she is judging me. Perhaps for my rumpled hair or my clothes, which are the same ones I wore yesterday. Well, I'm not going to stand there and take Lisette's abuse. Stick my tongue out the door as I pass. What does she know anyway? And then pause, feeling foolish. Why am I trying to make enemies with a doll? No matter how lifelike she looks, she isn't really real. Or she could be haunted, which we've just made her angry. Being back home with Toku must have made me paranoid. That or I've been in the countryside for too long already. I hope I'm not going to see now. Shaking my head, my fingers seize the indentation in the kitchen door and I pull. Door creaks as it slides to the right, revealing a very cozy scene indeed. Chopping board is strewn with the cut stems of several spring onions. Bowl of rice porridge bubbling away on the stove. A young girl in a Korean sweater stirring the porridge with a ladle. Girl turns her head when she hears the door slide open. Hair is dark and tied up in a ponytail. Eyes are dark too, like chestnuts that have been roasted over an open campfire. Eyelashes are long and thick, and lips are pursed like a doll's. Limbs are slender, so are her fingers, which protrude elegantly from the sleeves of her oversized sweater like pianist. Features remind me a little of Lisette's, but they're distinctly more Japanese, far less haughty. Not sure how old she is, but a little younger than me, probably younger than Otoko too. Maybe she just looks young because she isn't wearing any makeup. Probably a teenager, 15 or 16 I'd guess. Very pretty, but what are you doing in my grandmother's house? Don't be silly, you. The girl offers me a sweet smile that looks disconcertingly familiar. I'm your grandmother. It's me, Yumiko. Oh, right, of course. You're my grandmother, Yumiko. I pause. Then I stare. The record scratch. I love that. Wait, what? So, let me get this straight. I touch my temple with my fingertips. I think I can feel a headache coming on. We can talk all you want, dear, but you shouldn't neglect your rice porridge. It will get cold. Do you really think this is the time for rice porridge? I think all problems can be resolved with good, warm food. That's what Yukinari always used to say. That's very sweet, but it is sweet, isn't it? Yukinari had quite the way with words, and he always used to praise my cooking. But I don't know if the rice porridge will fix. Just like my grandmother. This, whatever this is, wish somebody would tell me because I have no idea what's going on right now. I don't understand. What needs to be fixed exactly? Just look at yourself. Oh yes, that's what I wanted to talk to you about. Thought you might be surprised. Of course I'm surprised. Who wouldn't be surprised? Grandmother sucks on her teeth. Just seems a little out of sorts with her current appearance. I thought she might take this badly. How else did you think I'd take it? You raised a fair point. I must admit, I did think this was rather unusual when I woke up. You wake up in the body of a teenager and your only reaction is, "My, this is unusual." Well, yes, I certainly didn't expect it. Nothing like this has happened to me before. That's because stuff like this doesn't happen at all. Not to anyone. Not ever. Unless you're in a movie or a visual novel. But it's happened now. Now your porridge. You should eat it. I've had enough, but I soon realize I have nothing to say. All I can do is stare. My grandmother's rice pudding looks and smells delicious. It's comforting. A homey aroma invades my nostrils, telling me that I haven't eaten since last night. No matter how hungry I am, however, I can't bring myself to take a bite. There are more pressing matters that need to be addressed. How do I even know you're my grandmother? Pardon me, dear? You don't know... How do I know you're my grandmother? This could all be some elaborate trick. There's no way this could be real. Oh dear, I see living in a city has made you rather more skeptical than you used to be. This has nothing to do with living in Tokyo. Anybody would be this skeptical. So this girl certainly sounds a lot like my grandmother. Can't marry a face up with that. The old woman's I've known the last 19 years. Grandmother hasn't changed very much those last 2 decades. Her hair has grown a lighter grey, face a little saggier, posture more hunched than crooked. The sun transformation is way too much to take in. Can't wrap my head around it. That is, if it actually happened. I suppose this is shocking, yes. But when you've lived for as long as I have, learn to take these things in your stride. My whole life has been filled with lucky coincidences and fortunate happenstances. Fail to see why this should be any different. Like your first meeting with grandfather? That's right. First time I met Yukinari, looked much like I do now, but my hair was loose and I was wearing a kimono. Kimono was decorated all over with flowers, and it had very long sweeping sleeves. You didn't tell me what kind of kimono you were wearing yesterday. No, well, I didn't think you'd be interested in the finer details. After all, you are a boy. I'm a man, actually. Sorry. I didn't want to wound your pride. My economy is much the same. Yeah, Dad's like that. So easygoing. But if you ever critique his driving... That sounds like my son, alright. Was he prideful when he was a young boy too? Oh yes, I distinctly remember him having a temper tantrum because one of his teachers gave him a baby's book to read for a homework assignment. Thought the adventures of Momotaro were beneath him. He kicked up such a fuss. That was how he knocked poor Lizette over. I think it was an accident. He was lying in the living room, kicking his plump little legs against the floor and, well, Lizette didn't stand a chance. It's nice to know Dad's always been the same, I guess. Quite. Grandmother giggles, her chest rises and falls me the pure white of a creamy sweater. Always wears clothes like this, but the oversized sweater doesn't look quite right on her new body. Hangs loosely off her shoulders, and the thick fabric bunches up around her arms. She doesn't look like anything like the grandmother I used to know, but... Okay, fine. I guess I have no choice. I believe you. Wonderful. I'm glad to hear that. This is a lot to take in, though. Don't push yourself, dear. Take your time. It's easy for you to say. You don't seem bothered by this at all. I was around the kitchen looking for... what exactly? I'm not sure. I wonder if anything else has decided to transform itself overnight. rice cooker into a pumpkin, or the mugs into little white mice. Morning has been so bizarre, I wouldn't be surprised. What's one more miracle compared to this? I mean, we did also wish last night, so... Everything else, however, looks like just like I remember it. Nothing suspicious at all. Grandmother's kitchen is so banal and ordinary. It's almost disappointing. Even so, I'd expect to find a camera crew skulking around, behind the door, or maybe beneath the table. This sounds like the premise of one of those stupid reality TV shows a token might watch. Some of the pranks they play on celebrities are especially cruel. Not a celebrity though. No reason any camera crew would come all the way out here to this teeny tiny village just to play a prank on me. Not nearly important enough. Now, how about that porridge of yours? You should try some before it gets cold. Alright. I feel exhausted. I think I need to replenish my energy. Lift my spoon and dip it into the porridge. It's still hot. Steam rises from the bowl in a perfect, almost picturesque manner, like something from a fairy story. Be careful, dear. It's hot. Don't worry, I know. I'm not a child. In fact, you look even younger than me right now. Oh, stop. You're flattering me. Grandmother waves one hand at me, but I think she's joking. That would explain her smile. It's nice she's able to make light of the situation. Is it because she has lived through so very much already, or is she just unusual? Or both. I always thought Grandma Yumiko was a little strange, but since I was small. Seems my assessment was right. She's a peculiar woman, and her outlook on life is certainly unique, but... Porridge really is delicious. Texture of the porridge is thick and creamy, and there aren't any lumps. It slides down my throat with ease. I could insert a certain joke about it, but I'm not going to. How is it? It's good, thanks a lot. It's no problem. I like it when people enjoy my food. I always used to cook for Yukinari, but... Oh, that's in the past now. I shouldn't dwell on it. Not when you're here. Hostess shouldn't let herself think about maudlin things. The second past, I find it increasingly easier to overlay my grandmother's face onto this young girl's. They look different, their mannerisms are almost entirely the same. I feel myself relaxing, my defenses lowering before I even realize it's happening. As unrealistic as it sounds, this girl rather, has to be my grandmother. Nobody is this good of an actress. One question, however, remains, and it's a big one. Much as I like to ignore it, pondering the impossible is only going to make my head hurt. I can't. Not that easily. Do you have any idea how this happened? It's quite the conundrum. I suppose I did wish on that shooting star last night. Do you think a deity answered your prayers? Maybe, maybe not. It's hard to make it's hard to make judgments about things we can't see. But I do wonder whether it isn't a result of a few rogue spirits playing a practical joke. Like the spirits that stole your shawl? The very same. I never could tell if my meeting with Yukinari was a chance encounter or ordained by fate. So maybe that's why the spirits have come to me. Don't want me to underestimate their powers. Do you really believe in spirits? I don't think I have much of a choice now. When there's no rational explanation for a series of events, you have to start examining the irrational ones, no matter how unlikely they may be. You sound like a detective. I do have a fondness for mystery novels. I used to work my way through a lot of Itagawa Rampo stories in the last few years. These are still a lot more stories out there I want to read, but I don't know if I'll ever be able to find the time. But you're so young now, your whole life is ahead of you. I'm sure it's just a temporary thing, like Cinderella, you know. Fairy godmother... If Fairy godmother could only enchant her clothes and her carriage for a few hours. Nothing to prove that this magic, if that's what it is, will wear off when the clock strikes 12. But my grandmother's words make sense. People commonly shed their ages overnight, emerging young and beautiful and unblemished. It would be fast become a media sensation. There would be cases up and down the nation of women like my grandmother who managed to miraculously turn back time, but there aren't. Never heard of anything like this before in my life. Could that be these enchantments never last very long? Closest you can get to permanent anti-aging in today's society is buying expensive cream solutions or having surgery, but not even these are foolproof solutions. Everything is limited. The moment people are born, their ultimate fates are mapped out for them. No matter what twists and turns their past may take, we all end up in the same place in the end. Science can't stop the march of time, neither can spirits. Our ends are inevitable, but when the spell wears off, what will you do? Would you miss being young? Perhaps, but there's no use being upset about things we can't change. Even if I had the choice, I wouldn't want to permanently lose 60 years from my old life. I guess you can narrow enough as it is, but wait another 70 years to join him. I see. Sorry if I was being tactless. You don't need to apologize, dear. Just giving my opinion. This is all beyond my control. It wouldn't do to worry too much. Though I must admit, it was rather nice to wake up this morning without any lower back pains. How do you feel? Wonderful. Like a whole new woman. Is there anything you want to do? Didn't mean to click through that. There are a lot of things I want to do, dear. I want to read all the books I own with my brand new eyes. I want to go for long walks in the countryside without getting tired. I want men to fuss over me like they did when I was still a young, pretty thing. But more than anything else, I want to see him again. Who? It may not be possible, but I'd like to visit my husband again. His parents have already blessed me once, though it might be selfish to ask for more. Wish they could do it again, just once. Then I'll never ask for anything else, for as long as I'm still alive. Hey there you, I haven't seen you in a while. Hi Mr. Nakamura. I went ahead politely at the cheerful, perhaps overly cheerful bus driver who is addressing me. I wouldn't say I'm well acquainted with Mr. Nakamura, but I know him in passing. The sole driver of the number 12 bus that travels between my town and my grandmother's village. Also the father of one of Toko's friends. Girl with blonde hair, dyed, and deadly fingernails called Emery. Emery certainly doesn't take after her father. He's trim and slender, member of the school athletics team, while the father has a portly belly and round cheeks that look perpetually flushed. Not that I blame him, really. It is incredibly cold outside. I hope you weren't waiting at the bus stop too long, you my boy. You could catch your death of cold. Another thing about Mr. Nakamura. Though we hardly know one another, he always calls me you my boy. I'm not his boy, of course. Might live in the same town, but we're not related. Contrary to what some people in Tokyo think, us folk from the countryside aren't all inbred. Even if we do say things like folks. Alright. Give Mr. Nakamura a small smile, hoping to whatever that word is, his forceful friendliness. I mean, whatever doesn't kill you. Well, I guess in the cold it's character building. Bet you didn't miss this weather being in Tokyo though. I forgot just how cold it can get actually. Best make sure to wrap up warm. I will. Still, it's not all bad here. Being out in the countryside will help toughen you up. Might learn street smarts out in the big city, but if you want to hack it out here, basic survival instincts you need. I guess so. And who's this? Mr. Nakamura appears at my grandmother curiously. A friend of yours? Well, how can I possibly explain the situation? Don't worry, Mr. Nakamura, this is just my grandmother, Yumiko. Yes, I know she looks a little bit different. I was surprised too. This young teenage girl really truly is her, I swear. He laughed in my face. That would drive me away to the nearest sanitarium. Then again, maybe not. The nearest sanitarium is a good 3 hours away. Probably it's my grandmother who takes the initiative. Turns out from behind my back, a small smile playing about her lips and says, "It's a pleasure to meet you. One of you's friends from Tokyo invited me here so I could look around his hometown." "Friend from Tokyo, is it?" "That's right, sir. We just got back from visiting you's grandmother. Really lovely out here." "So Yumiko, did you? I suppose that explains why you're out here in the middle of nowhere." "Well, I must say, I'm surprised." "And why is that, sir?" "I didn't think you city folk would be interested in a tiny village like this, but you must have been bored out of your mind." "On the contrary, I enjoy myself a lot. It's so beautiful around these parts, especially with all the snow." "Yeah, well, I'll be. Got a good head on your shoulders after all." "Thank you. I appreciate your compliments." "Hey, you." Mr. Nakamura beckons me closer with one thick, round finger, leaning obligingly, feeling distinctively foolish. "A girl of yours is a real keeper." No. I mean, I know we were just talking a bit about inbreds earlier, but hopefully our you is not into that type of stuff. No, she isn't. You don't need to deny it, boy. The man brings a pretty young girl back into his hometown because they're friends. You shouldn't underestimate old Nakamura Hirofumi. I can see there's more to this story than meets the eye. Well, I mean, there's definitely more to the story, just not in the way you think. Look down my feet, face flushing. Not exactly wrong, but she's a sensible girl, she is. She has a nice face, too. I'm proud of you, son. Thank you. Not sure why I'm thanking him, but I don't know what else to say. Glanced at my grandmother from the corners of my eyes. Though she's looking out the window politely, pretending she can't hear us, can she see her shoulders shaking? No, she's trying not to laugh. Now then, we've dawdled here long enough. We should probably get going. I doubt there'll be anybody waiting for us at later stops. What do you think, Hugh, my boy? Seems unlikely. I'd imagine everybody would be inside today, trying to stave off the cold. I sometimes wish I could do the same thing, but I've got a job to do. Duty calls. We're a reliable man, and a strong sense of responsibility is so important. Ha, you're not wrong there. I'm warming up to you more and more, my girl. Oh, thank you very much. Sadly, men like me are a dying breed. You don't find many like us anymore. Not in Tokyo, at least. I'd wager you that. Well, I don't know about that. He was very dependable, so I'm glad I can rely on him. Give my grandmother a filthy look. She trying to dig this hole even deeper on purpose. Grandmother simply blinks at me impassively. She isn't making things incredibly awkward. I don't want people to think I'm going out with my grandmother, for goodness sake. Even if she does look rather pretty right now. In a way, that kind of makes it worse. I've always thought you was a dependable lad. That'll be because he has the country blood in him. Can't take a boy out of the country. Or you can take a boy out of the country, but you can't take the country out of the boy. That's very wise. Grandma nods sagely. I think she's trying not to laugh. Right then, let's be off. Don't want to keep you two lovebirds. I told you I'm not... That's a wonderful idea. Grandmother, no! Grandmother steps forward and takes hold of my arm. Shall we take a seat, darling? And you said you were just friends. You need to get better at lying, you, my boy. Ooh, we really are. Bush throws away. It's obvious Mr. Nakamori isn't listening to me. Face burns bright red. Underneath my breath, I mutter monotonously, "You're going to be my grandmother, I'd kick you. Or if you weren't my grandmother, I'd kick you." Grandmother simply laughs. At least she's enjoying herself. Only it wasn't at my expense. The bus ride back into town takes even longer than anticipated. The roads are bumpy and ill-maintained. It typically takes at least an hour and a half to wend our way back to town on a good day. This day, however, is the exact opposite of good. Though the roads were salted earlier this morning, patches of snow and ice still remain. Mr. Nakamura has to drive exceedingly careful, time slowing to a snail's crawl. He navigates the twisting, turning roads, peppered here and there with holes. It would be quicker to take the train, but, like I theorized last night, trains have been shut down. Too much snow on the lines. This bus is all we have. Been on a bus with my grandmother for more than 2 hours. We still haven't made it to the town yet. Oh wow, I'm comfortably bounced and knocked and jostled in my seat as the tires skid through the slushy snow and ice. Even worse when the unstable, unsteady motions of the bus pitch me against my grandmother's side. Lying to like my grandmother, I can honestly say I enjoy her company more than I did as a child. That doesn't mean I want to be this close to her. Not when she looks so very young. Younger even than me. Careful, dear. You could hurt yourself. Grandmother cautions me gently when my shoulder bumps against hers for the dozenth time. I'm more worried about hurting you. Oh, don't concern yourself with me, my dear. I'm as fit as a fiddle. In fact, I've never felt better. Certainly look healthy. Grandmother's cheeks are flushed with a rosy glow. Her whole body seems to radiate youth. Her eyes sparkle, her hair shimmers beneath the sun seeping in through the misted windows. Her skin looks clear and smooth. It's like the surface of a mirror. Or the cool, still, untroubled waters of a lake. Oh, it really is marvelous. Everything is so amazing. You think being bumped around on a bus for hours on end is amazing? It is when you can experience it in a whole new body. My back refuses to ache. Not one little bit. No matter how many potholes we go over. You might be in even better shape than I am. Maybe I am right now, but I don't know how long this will last. I want to make the most of it. Well, I can't begrudge you that. Thank you, dear. I know you're going out of your way for me. I doubt any grandson generally wants to go shopping with his old grandmother during the holidays. I do appreciate it. Don't mention it. But I want to mention it. Being with you has given me a whole new lease of life. Haven't left my village in months. Didn't you want to? Don't matter whether I wanted to leave or not. My old bones couldn't take it. Lost rocks and creeks too much. What about the trains? They're quicker. I suppose I could have taken the trains, but it wouldn't feel right. Why not? Used to do everything for Yukinari. Even the house wouldn't have felt right. None of my own. Don't see anything else. Don't need to. A single syllable hangs in the cold, icy air, cementing a bond of understanding between us. Grandmother and grandson. Family. Don't know how lonely this last year must have been for my grandmother, but I can imagine. Grandmother's days must have been long and endless, nothing to distract her from the loss of the person she loved the most in the whole world. Daily routine has changed irreversibly after her grandfather died, after my grandfather died, I'm sure it looked more or less the same as at a surface glance. It wasn't though. Not quite. I was thinking about it. It's painful. Well, just thinking about it is painful. That's why I can't let my grandmother down. Not now. Hey, I extend my hand. I think it's slightly thrown between my grandmothers. Don't worry about it. I'm here for you. Who are you? Grandmother sighs softly. Mr. Nakamura was right. Really are a reliable boy. He was exaggerating. Maybe not men like puffing themselves up with their own pride doesn't really do any harm. And he did have a point. The sweetest grandson I could ever have hoped for. Even though I was such a brat when I was a kid. I used to be a brat when I was a young girl too. We all grow up. Or, in your case, glanced at the unfamiliar figure, a small smile on my face. We grow down. Grandma laughed quietly at my joke, poor though it is. Oh dear, we make light of all this snow, or this now. Don't know why I added an extra lot of that, but it is a new experience for me. Fun though it is, it feels a bit overwhelming. Grandma squeezes my fingers with her own. Wonder how long this transformation will last. Long enough for you to make your dream come true, I hope. I hope so too. Look out the window. It isn't snowing anymore, but the residue of last night's snowstorm is visible for any curious eye to see. Feels that stretch out before me is a pure white, like a cup of printing paper. Ooh, we're in town. It's been such a long time. Grandma glances about cheerfully, her eyes wide like a young kid being taken to a theme park for the first time. Not sure why she's so excited. This is only a small town. A handful of shops line the streets. It's a plaza with a circular fountain that always frosts over when the weather gets cold. And that's about it. We don't have a mall. Or lack of any shopping center. Well, our lack of shopping centers with multiple floors, glass shiny roofs, and elevators has been a constant source of pain for Otoko over the years. Like a decent bikini to sale too. This place is nothing compared to the busy, bustling metropolis of Tokyo. In fact, the few streets our town has to offer are almost painfully deserted. See a few people milling about, lone men and women doing last-minute New Year shopping for their partners. Most likely, and a couple of families dotted here and there, but that's all. No, there's nothing impressive about this place. Don't understand why you're so excited. Grandma turns to face me, still smiling. Oh, I know this small town isn't a patch on the city, but it's still special to me. I grew up around here. I guess so. There's so much history around here, you. All these shops existed when I was a young girl. Just like stepping inside a time capsule. She's right about that. Russell hasn't really caught on in a small, sleepy slice of northern Japan yet. We do have a McDonald's, and there's a 7-Eleven, plus a handful of chain clothing stores you couldn't find anywhere, but the majority of the businesses around here are privately owned. There's a lot of little one-off shops with only one floor that you can't find anywhere else. Toku, being a Toku, thinks this is horrendous. My grandmother, meanwhile, seems to appreciate the charm of these quaint, entirely unique places. Must remind her of her childhood. Wonder if the Parsley Cafe is still around. Used to go to Yukinari all the time. I don't know, I haven't been here in a while. The pro-priestess, Mrs. Fujiwara. Yeah, that name. Such a sweetheart. She always greeted me with a smile. She knew my regular order off by heart. My mother laughs lightly, but her mirth soon fades as she contemplates the frozen fountain. Mrs. Fujiwara was an old woman back then, even older than I am now. You can imagine such a thing, and I wonder. Do you want to see if her cafe is still there? Oh no, it's quite alright. Something has happened to her. I might be happier not knowing. Were you that close? Not really. Only I saw her when I went to her cafe. But she was a sweet old dear. She worked every day that she could, though she had a bad hip. Thunder and lightning she wouldn't have deterred her. Grandmother frowns, fingers toying with the end of her scarf. Seeing all the people I used to know starting to pass away one by one, it's frightening. It makes me wonder when it will be my turn to join them. You're not old now. I didn't realize how old I'd become until today. I can run and bend and stretch without hurting. I must have forgotten what that felt like. I suppose I got used to the pain. Grandma. Grandma sighs again. Going back to my old life after this incredible experience would take quite a bit of getting used to. But you don't regret it? Of course not. I'm not the type who wastes time on regrets. Stronger than look. It's easier to believe that tried and tested line. More afraid than the tatami mats in my grandmother's age-old house. When she still looks like this. Her body is young now, skin is smooth and her hair is black and glossy. Looks like she's my age or younger. There's so much life ahead of her. But that's just an illusion, isn't it? New appearance is nothing more than a cloak woven by mysterious otherworldly magic. Soon the spell will wear away. My grandmother will emerge from the cocoon of her teenage self. Hopefully her body won't end up catching up to her, cause oh boy, she's gonna be in a lot of pain. She'll be an old woman once more, with rheumy eyes and a wrinkly neck. Now, I want to make the most of this opportunity. I'm going to visit the shrine this evening. I need something suitable to wear. You don't have any spare kimonos? Now that would suit me in my current state. I don't want Yukinari to see me wearing an old, dusty, ill-fitting kimono pulled from the back of a drawer. I want to be young and fresh and pretty again, like I was the first time I met him. So you need something equally young, fresh and pretty to drape over your body? That's just how it is, I'm afraid. Should have known. I shake my head. just like a Toko. Well, we are related. Blood is thicker than water, you. Do you have enough money to pay for a new kimono? They can be quite expensive, especially around New Year's. Everybody will be wanting to buy new kimonos so they can have their first shrine visit of the year. Though there are many more people like a Toko who'd rather wear Western clothes. Kimonos aren't exactly cool. Not that I know much about women's clothes. I have more than enough money with me. I'm an old woman. We know when to be frugal, and I don't have much to spend it on anyway. Not without you, Kanari. I'm sure we'll be happy with whatever kimono you pick. Thank you. You always know the right thing to say. Not really. Now, let's start searching. Don't know if there will be many good kimonos left. I want to find something as similar as possible to the one I wore when I was a younger girl. I wore that kimono more than 60 years ago. I couldn't even remember what it looks like. I remember it perfectly, like a photograph. It's a moment I won't ever forget. After all, Grandmother smiles to herself and presses her hand against her chest. That was the day I first met Yukinari. Given this town is so small, there isn't a single shop in the limited high street devoted entirely to kimonos. A couple of clothes shops have small sections devoted to kimonos and yukatas, but they mostly carry simple pieces that go for less than 8,000 yen. The majority of these kimonos are comprised of solid colors, either black or red or blue. They're never decorated with flowers or butterflies. The others aren't much better. Similarly drab and dreary, embellished with trite patterns one can find almost anywhere. Grandmother isn't particularly impressed with these kimonos, and neither am I, but I can't pretend I know much about them. Look through the rails of all the second-hand shops in this town, hoping for a lucky find or two, but come away dispirited. Though there are several kimonos on the rails of these shops, too plain to hold my grandmother's attention. No, she mumbles to herself, shaking her head, as she rummages through the rails. These are nothing like the kimonos I wore when I was young. My grandmother sighs as she lets off the sleeve of a pale peach kimono, embroidered with cherry blossoms. Oh dear, don't mean to sound like an old nag, she says, and then she laughs. But our search remains fruitless despite her good humor. When my grandmother does find a kimono she likes, she discovers that their sleeves are frayed and it smells faintly of cigarettes. Must have belonged to a smoker, she concludes sadly. Such a pity too. It really is a pretty thing. But Yukinari wouldn't want to see me in a kimono that smells of smoke. But I thought he used to smoke himself. Got off a few years ago, after I made him chesty in the winter. It wasn't easy for him. He smoked most of his life, but he said his health was more important. He didn't want to get sick, you see. Not while we were still together. Didn't want to leave me on my own. Sounded like he was a very noble man. He was, incredibly so. Gave all his all for my sake, so I must do the same for him. With that, the kimono is discounted from the running. Look around the town for over 3 hours, leaving no stone unturned and no shop overlooked. Grandmother must have pored over every single kimono on display within a 10-mile radius. But each and every last one makes her shake her head. There's always something wrong. With aching limbs and tired feet, my grandmother and I retreat to the iced-over fountain in the central plaza. As around my surroundings, fingers jammed into my pockets. It's much too cold to let them roam around in the wild. And deciduous trees around the plaza were dusted with snow earlier this morning. Some of the pelting snow has melted during our hunt. An anemic sun that hangs in the grey, stilly sky shimmers weakly. Though it's a cold day, there are lots of clouds. The sun is still doing its best to keep shining. I, on the other hand, have already started to wilt. Maybe we've left it too late. All the good kimonos might have been brought already. Oh, don't be so downhearted, you. You're underestimating my womanly wiles. Gives her a sidelong look. What do you mean? We haven't exhausted all of our options yet. Well, we've been in every single clothes store there is. Might have been in every single clothes store, but there's still one place we haven't looked. Where? Grandmother taps her nose with her index finger. That's for me to know, dear, and you to find out. Oh, do you think it looks lovely? Well, it is quite cute, I guess. But this one is very nice too, and this. Grandmother is so excited, you can practically see the heart swirling around her head. Our shop my grandmother wanted to examine isn't devoted to clothing, second-hand or otherwise. Tamayura, which is located down a rabbit warren of twisting, turning streets, is an antique shop. This antique shop mostly carries items from the latter half of the Edo period. Occurred plates, prints, tobacco pouches, and Ikimatsu dolls. It does, however, have a small section near the back of the shop devoted to antique kimonos and obus. There are even gator shoes, parasols, and shawls in numerous colours. The selection of items is fairly small and selected, but this doesn't dampen my grandmother's enthusiasm. Oh, they're all so beautiful. Not quite like the ones I wore when I was young, but they're much nicer than the cheap, mass-produced kimonos at those other shops. Do any of these kimonos look like the ones you wore when you first met Grandpa? I'll never find an exact replica, of course, but maybe it's better that way. Possible to replicate the past. And I used to think it was impossible for people to lose 60 years overnight, but look at you now. Grandmother giggles, one the green sleeve of her sweater against her mouth. Well, I suppose so. You make an excellent point. Wonder how much these cost. Kimono kimonos, that's the closest to me on a rail. It's a soft orange colour, provided with an intricate image of wheat fields. And look at the price it demands. 120,000 yen. Drop the fabric hastily and take a step back. Kimonos are so expensive. I feel like I'm losing money just looking at them. But the thing is, the soft orange kimono I handle is one of the cheaper ones. They're still more than 10 times the price of kimonos we examined in the other stores. Are you sure you can afford this, Grandma? They're pretty expensive. Don't worry about me, dear. I have savings, but not for you. Though I might be old, I did imagine a suitable kimono would fetch quite a hefty price. That's inflation for you. Besides, Shikanari always said I was a woman with expensive tastes. I know, but 120,000 yen for something you're going to wear once? Oh my, sound just like my mother, you. Just trying to be sensible. I know, dear, that's one of your good qualities. It's very sweet. That's what she says, but her eyes are glinting. I think she's teasing me. Grandmother always liked teasing people. Used to feed me lots of silly stories when I was a kid, just to see how I would react. Once she told me that Lisette was sentient, and she moved around in the night when nobody was looking. Found that Lisette is telling enough, with her unblinking eyes and her pouty lips, but that only made it worse. Genuinely frightened of that doll when I was younger. Not frightened enough that it deterred me tipping her upside down to examine her drawers, though.
Want my opinion? I still think you should let your old grandma have a bit of fun every once in a while. I've always loved clothes shopping. But you've been wearing the same clothes for years. That's precisely why I want to look nice now. Grandmother's fingers trailed across the rack of kimonos almost reverently. Going to visit Ikanari again? Want to look my best. Want to buy something pretty enough to do my new body justice, even if it only lasts for one night. Right, fine, but you're sounding disturbingly like a Toko. Sister's a very pretty girl. I'll take it as a compliment. Might be pretty, but she's wrong on the inside. I always thought that Toko, with her fiery nature and short temper, didn't really take after anybody in the family. Not like Dad, who's laid back, Mom, who fusses and fidgets and bends over backwards to please people. Might have been wrong, though. Toko is not very much like our mother or our father, but she has more than a couple of similarities with our grandmother. Both have a penchant for expensive clothes. Speaking of which, Toko wanted me to buy her a gift, didn't she? I don't think I'll find any frilly bikinis nestled amongst the shelves of Tomayura, but I might be able to find something she will like. Go to look around. Tell me when you're finished. Of course, might be here for a while though. I've been taken right back to my girlhood. Did you go clothes shopping a lot? Oh yes, especially with my mother. She nailed me really. She was forever fussing about money, and she warned me against being arrogant, but she loved dressing me up. Take your time then, I don't mind. I will. Thank you for understanding, dear. I appreciate it. I do my best. Wander off, glance around this peculiar show with really kindled interest. Present for Toko. What would she like? Shop really is filled with interesting wares. Shelves are positively crammed full of stuff, shimmering mysteriously under the dimmed lights. I think they dim the light in the antique shops on purpose, so the artificial brightness doesn't harm any of the antique prices, particularly the paintings. These pictures are rather interesting. Women in kimonos playing Nakoto, standing in tea gardens with their raised parasols shielding them from the sun. Find them charming, a dated kind of way. I very much doubt they would be to a Toko's taste. Keep searching, making a mental inventory of all the curios I find inside my head. A few fans decorated with soft pastel images of butterflies and gardens, an enamel brooch resting in a blue jewelry box, 15 pieces of Koki dolls, with kimonos fashioned out of cloth and black hair cut into neat blocks. Try not to look at the price tags attached to these items. Thinking about all those zeros is rather frightening. Oh, hi there. While I peruse, I can't stop myself from glancing over at the shopkeeper. She's a surprisingly young woman, in her mid-20s or so. Looks a little out of place in a store like this, especially with her carefully manicured fingernails and the glossy magazine in her hands. Try to covertly read the cover of her magazine. Name looks familiar, though I know I never read it. I think it's one of the same magazines that Toko buys. If it is, I wouldn't be surprised. This woman looks just as fashion conscious as my caustic little sister. Let's hope she'll be more agreeable. Hey. Shopkeeper lifts her head, setting the magazine to one side. Why are you staring at me? Flush and tried to avert my eyes, but it's already too late. The girl behind the counter knows I've been staring. Sorry, I didn't mean to. Girl, woman, I should say, purses her lips. Doesn't look convinced by my weak reassurances. No, it's pretty rude to stare at other women when you're out with your girlfriend. Girlfriend? When looking at the kimonos, she is your girlfriend, right? Fortunately, my grandmother is so enamored with the small selection of kimonos, she doesn't seem to have heard our conversation. If she had, I knew I'd never hear the end of it. Might be a girl, but she's not really my friend. We're family. Oh, a sister. I already have a sister, and she is enough of a handful as it is. Don't want any siblings, fictional or otherwise. No, she's my cousin. She doesn't live around here. I see. Looks so close, I just assumed. Maybe I shouldn't have. Gets so dull around here sometimes. I've had drama to keep myself entertained. Apologize if I made you uncomfortable. It's alright. Doesn't need to apologize. I was the one who started all this by staring at her. Cousin has strange taste though. The kimonos are so old-fashioned. And they're expensive. Totally. If I wanted to wear a kimono, I'd buy a new one. I didn't mean to. Okay. I wouldn't feel right wearing something so old. I mean, who knows who wore these in the past? She shudders. Thinking about it gives me the creeps. I already looked around the other stores, but she didn't like anything they had to offer. She prefers antiques. Huh, weird. I guess. This whole situation is pretty weird. Shopkeeper isn't wrong. Not that she's privy to all the details. So, why were you staring at me? Do you want to ask me something about those kimonos? I open my mouth, ready to speak, but she holds up her hand before I can say anything. Stop, let me just tell you, before you waste your breath, that I can't give you any discounts no matter how expensive the kimonos are. My boss would kill me. I think my cousin will be fine. She knows what she likes. She told me she has enough money. I hope so. We've been trying to shift some of those musty old kimonos for a while. Just take up space. So, if you don't want a discount, what do you want? Thinking about buying a present for my younger sister. Not another kimono? No, I couldn't afford it. Anyway, I was thinking more like jewelry, or maybe a hairpin. Something she could wear when we go out for a New Year's shrine visit. And what sort of accessories does your sister like? Oh, I don't know. Flashy things. She's obsessed with Tokyo fashion. Not that she's ever been there. We do have some rather flashy jewellery here. Get the best prices locked away behind the counter. There's a really lovely pair of earrings inlaid with real diamonds. You can get them out for you if you want. Diamonds? Well, I have no doubt Toko would love a pair of diamond earrings. No matter how old they might be, my wallet certainly wouldn't. Thought of it enough is to make me sweat. I don't think I can afford real diamonds. That's way out of my price range. I don't think a Toko is worth that much either. No, I can't put a price on family, and I do want to repair my relationship with my sister. But come on, let's be practical here. Just a poor student, and if I spend all my money on frivolous gifts, I'll be completely broke. Don't want to live on instant noodles for the foreseeable future. Oh. Shopkeeper sighs. Looks a bit deflated. Well, what sort of price range are we looking at? I don't have much more than 20,000 yen. Shopkeeper wrinkles her brow. All the early energy has completely disappeared. That isn't very much. It isn't. But when it comes to antique jewelry, we have some very expensive pieces in our collection. Isn't too much that goes for under 20,000 yen. Unless you want to give your sister something made of coral. Coral is pretty cheap. I don't think that would suit my sister's taste. Well then, jewelry may be out of the question. Mentioned hairpins? That's right. Didn't like wearing kimonos, but I thought she might want something pretty to put in her hair. But if that's the case, come with me. Shopkeeper abandons her post behind the counter, just as me to follow her with one long manicured nail. I obey soundlessly. Leads me to a shelf and gestures at a collection of pieces on display. There behind the glass are a series of metallic hairpins of varying lengths. The tops are tipped with small balls. Longest is around 18 centimeters, while the shortest is only 9. This is a collection of hairpins. Comes a set of 5 for 1, so they're a real bargain. These date back to the 1920s, and not in the best of conditions, but this one here is made with jade. This one is topaz. If they weren't so sculpted, they would be rather expensive. Look at the series of hairpins. True to the shopkeeper's words, they're not in the best condition, but the little balls that shimmer at the end of the pins look expensive enough. Small drops of jade and topaz, real precious stones. Don't think Otoko owns anything quite that luxurious. Just one question. How much are they? Glad you asked. Shopkeeper flashes me a smile that would put a fox to shame. They're 18,000 yen. 18,000? Take them or leave them. You won't find any so high quality for such a low price. Wince. Thought of parting with that much money in one fell swoop is painful, but if it could improve my relationship with Toku, then maybe it's worth it. I hope it's worth it. Otherwise I really will look like a fool. Much too nice for my own good. This is really delicious. Grandmother smiles blissfully, cupping her cheeks with one hand as she lets the vanilla ice cream melt across her tongue. Watch her over the rim of the coffee cup as I take a sip. As we finish shopping, we decided to go to a small cafe to sit down and relax. After we finished shopping, or to be more precise, my grandmother decided to go to a small cafe to sit down and relax. I just tagged along because what other choice did I have? This isn't the same cafe my grandmother used to frequent with my grandfather, however. Like the homey parsley cafe of my grandmother's memories, this cafe is relatively new. Though, when I say new, it should be taken with a pinch of salt. Tokyo buildings are constructed every day, far more than one could ever count, but in my sleepy corner of the world, what can constitute as new or novel is a little different. Been a while, but I have vague memories of this place and flowery shaped tabletops. I think my parents taught me and Otoko here a few times when we were kids. My memory can be trusted, and I'd like to think they can. Hope I don't have dementia just yet. This place must be at least a decade old. Don't think grandmother's been here before though. It stands to reason that she wouldn't have. Cafe is obviously intended for youngsters. The decor is a little more modern than the other stores in my town. Like the other cafes, this place doesn't serve traditional Japanese snacks and green tea. Green tea is still listed on the menu, of course, but most people come here for the coffee and the cakes. Cakes are still distinctly Western themed. Cheesecake, carrot cake, and chocolate, whatever that is. I even carry strawberry tarts, maroon glaciers, and little macarons. Cakes and pastries are arranged neatly behind the counter. Strawberries on the fruit tarts glisten beneath bright lights, and the thick slices of chocolate cake have been sprinkled liberally with curls of white chocolate and cocoa powder. Delicious though the cakes look, grandmother decided to pass them by. Said cake was too heavy. She wanted to watch her figure. Been changing far too much lately. With that, she settled on a fruit parfait instead. It still looks nice though. Parfait is a complex structure of ice cream scoops nestled inside a tall, fluted glass topped with several clouds of blobs of whipped cream and various chopped kiwis, strawberries, cherries, and mango slices, and an entire chocolate bar. Grandmother said the parfait was a light snack, but it was quite a formidable amount of ice cream. Are you sure you'll be able to eat all that? Oh, you don't be so stuffy. You only live once. Man, I haven't heard that phrase in a while. I know, but I don't want you to regret it later. It's very kind of you, dear, but you're forgetting something. What? I have been alive for more than 80 years. Think I know my own body better than you do. Grandmother pauses and glances down at her brand new body with smooth skin and slender, shapely figures. Well, maybe not this body. It's been a while since I looked like this. Whatever you say, just don't make it so sick. Oh, you. What? Just enjoying myself. People always talk to us elderly folk like we're children. But we're just much more knowledgeable about the world than you like to give us credit for. Face flushes a little from shame. And my grandmother said it lightly, with a small smile on her lips. I rather think she just scolded me. Hit my head to see my coffee cup back on my saucer with a soft clink. I'm sorry. No need to apologize. No harm done. Now I'm going to enjoy my parfait. All of it? All of it. As you should. Grandma looks at me slyly from beneath her lashes. Does she like to take a bite? No thanks, I'm good. Sharing a parfait with a pretty girl might sound like an attractive idea, but that's only if said girl isn't your grandmother. That ruins the fantasy somewhat. Oh, see yourself. All the more for me. Grandmother dips her spoon into the parfait and brings it to her lips. It's delicious. I will take your word for it. Take another sip of my black coffee. Grandmother watches me curiously. Are you really sure you don't want a bite to eat you? My treat, since you've been such a good boy. Oh no, you don't. What do you mean? This is my treat, because you always looked out for me. I don't mind paying. That's nice of you, dear, but you spend quite enough on your sister already. Don't want you to strain your finances any further. Well, she's within my seat. Legs to brush against the plastic bag lying beneath my chair, which rustles. The pins I brought were all rather tiny. Storekeeper at Tamura didn't have any suitably small bags to stash it away in. I had to settle for a large, bulky bag instead. Grandmother's kimono and obi rest in a similar plastic bag beneath her chair, folded neatly so they don't get creased. Pins were expensive, I guess, but nothing. You're a pure student, you. I don't want you living on instant noodles for the next month. How did she know I was worrying about the exact same thing? Now stop being silly. I want to pay for you. You're my grandson. I haven't had a chance to spoil you for a while. Don't really like being pampered. I've been living on my own for several months, and I'm capable of looking after myself. At least that's what I like to tell myself. How can I turn down my grandmother's kindness when she looks so earnest? In the end, all I can do is squeeze, sighing in defeat as I do so. Right, if it'll make you happy, you can do what you want. Very good, that's the spirit. Grandmother nods her head, her braids bouncing. The smile is so bright, it's almost dazzling. Not sure why she looks so happy, when all I did was allow her the grand honor of spending money on me. But I guess my grandmother is the kind of woman who likes looking after others. I do wonder if that's why she brought the set from the specialty door store in France. Is it because she wanted a little girl to spoil? A shame she ended up with my dad instead. Dad sounds like he was a regular menace in his youth. He certainly didn't like being fussed over. He was forever darting around with a dirty face and bruises on his knees. My grandmother wants to dirt on me while she can. I should let her. It won't do any damage, and I didn't buy anything expensive. At least not for her. Let a woman pay for my drink seems a bit ungentlemanly. But this isn't just any woman. No matter how young she looks, she's still my grandmother. This is only a cup of coffee. Guessing this isn't such a huge indignity to suffer. Now, grandmother glances at the side of the display of cakes with a twinkle in her eye. I can hardly treat you when all you brought is a coffee, can I? Yes, I guess I should have seen this coming. Don't really want anything else. Nonsense, you're a growing boy. I'm not a big fan of sweets. You might not be, but I am. Come to a nice little cafe, I want to see all the cakes and pastries they have to offer. Otherwise it would seem like a waste. So you just want to satisfy your own curiosity? More or less. So much for wanting to dote on her only grandson. How shameless. I can afford to be shameless every once in a while. It's fun. Guess if my grandmother wants to order more food to cover our table and pretty decorations, can't complain too much. Same money she'll be spending, not mine. Plus, if I have my own snacks to pick at, it might make the situation look less awkward. One young boy, one young girl, one parfait in the middle of the table. What are people going to think? Of course it looks like a date. Waitress gave us a knowing smile and a wink when she brought the parfait to our table, as though she expected us to start exchanging bites of ice cream and indirect kisses in front of everyone. If you want to spend money on me so badly, then... What did I used to have when I came here with my parents and Otoko? What should I choose? Is there anything you're craving you? Cheesecake? Chocolate cake? Chocolate roll? Sounds too rich for me. Slices of cake are too big. I didn't know too much in Tokyo over the last year. I had to try and shed some of this excess weight, or Tokyo would never stop teasing me. Maybe a lemon bar? Sounds like the healthiest option. Grandmother, however, doesn't look particularly happy with my choice. Pouts like a little kid and folds her arms across the chest. That's not very exciting, you. Live a little. Laying plenty as it is, thank you very much. Oh, alright, very well. See, you can't be budged. One lemon bar it is. And thank you. Goodness. Grandma smiles and shakes her head. Always been such a funny little boy. Contrarian might say, some might say, my academy was the same. I just want a lemon bar Contrarian. Grandmother doesn't elaborate on this point. Instead, she calls a waitress over and appends the lemon bar onto our order. Waitress nods her head and jots my order down in a notepad, and she gives me a funny look as she does so. Maybe she's wondering why I'm asking my girlfriend to order on my behalf. If she is, I can't exactly fault her for it, as much as I'd like to. Carrie is popular with young people, including couples. Several couples sitting in the circular tables about us, sharing cafes and looking at one another wistfully. Me and my grandmother must look just like them. I groan. What's wrong, dear? Nothing, nothing. Explaining it would be far too embarrassing. Are you sure it's nothing? You're not regretting your order, are you? Do you want to try a piece of caramel shortbread instead? Maybe something with a bit more chocolate? I understand concerned, but she looks so hopeful her true intentions are immediately obvious. You're so transparent. What do you mean? You want to try the caramel shortbread that badly? Why don't you just order it for yourself? Oh no, I couldn't possibly. I have to eat all my own parfait. Yes, well, go and do it then. Don't let me stop you. You. Grandmother pouts. Acting so prickly. No, I'm not. Yes, you are. You're being so harsh. That's alright. My dear grandma loves you all the same. In fact, love you so much I need to teach you a lesson. So saying, my grandmother kicks me beneath the table and sticks out her tongue. I glare at her. What's that supposed to teach me? You should respect your elders. put my arms across my chest, and tried to ignore the smarting in my thigh. Grandmother's always been a mischievous woman. She likes playing pranks on people. Body might have reverted to that of her teenage years, but her mind is just the same as ever. In fact, I think she is even worse now. Miracle is I've been able to survive this long. What trials and tribulations will I be put through next? It's such a long time since I last came to this place. Door opens with a thud. Bell dings, signaling the arrival of another customer. 2 customers, in fact. Oh no. Oh, this is about to get awkward. One is a girl with curly honey brown hair. Obviously died. Her darker roots are starting to show through near the top of her head. The other girl has dark straight hair, very long fingernails, and a small scowl on her face. I know that scowl. I know that girl. I know. This is kind of shabby, but it's the best we have around here. At least the paraphrase are pretty good. I'll take your word for it. Never been here before. I wanted Dad to take me when I was a kid, but he always said no. Told me places like this are blight on a historical village. Living in Dad sounds like a huge pain in the ass, Emmy. Tell me about it. Dad is so melodramatic. I can't wait until I can move out. I want to get as far away from this place as possible. Same here. There's nothing here. Absolutely nothing. Pisses me off that my stupid brother gets to go up to Tokyo. He doesn't even realize what a huge opportunity he has. Like he doesn't even care. Meanwhile, I'm stuck here feeling like I'm dying. He's like so insensitive. I know, right? So wrapped up in himself he doesn't... Yeah, hi. Taco pauses. Looks at me, heavily made up eyes narrowing. I see a large amount of mascara she's always wearing. When she often narrows her eyes, they narrow most impressively. Nothing more threatening in the world than Toko's glares. It really puts her all into them. You. She all but hisses my name. It's some kind of contagious disease. What are you doing here? I sigh. Is that really the green I deserve? Being an older brother is so depressing. Hey there, Toko. I said Tommy to you. Sorry, hi Tommy, and hi Emery. Nakamura Emery, Mr. Nakamura's daughter, looks at me with mistrustful eyes. Doesn't wear quite as much makeup as a taco, and isn't as expertly applied, so her sideways glance is a little lacking in outright malice, but it's still frosty enough. Temperature in this cafe seems to have dropped a good 5 degrees. Why are you in this town, you? Thought you were meant to be visiting Grandma. That's what you said. Raises a good point. How can I talk my way out this one? I know it's what I said, but... Were you lying to me? Wasn't lying. I did go and see Grandma, but... Really want to see our darling grandmother? Then who is this? Toko gestures towards our grandmother, who she obviously doesn't recognize. I've never seen her before. Well... Guess the whole "she is my cousin" line I used on the shopkeeper at the antique store won't work here. Toko is my little sister. She knows just as well as I do that we don't have any cousins who look like this. How funny. Toko peers at our grandmother curiously. Swear I haven't met her before, but she does look familiar. Of course she looks familiar. She is our own grandmother. Though she changed quite a bit from the woman she used to be. With a wrinkled neck and her trembling spider-like hands, she's still a flesh and blood. There's a little bit of a Toko about her, actually. Had the same nose, similar mouths, and the strikingly dark eyes both Toko and I possess. Huh. Do you know her? I don't know. Well, I don't think she lives around here. Dando is like everyone who lives around here. Such a busybody. Can't help knowing people. He's a bus driver. Secretly, however, I agree with Emery's assessment. I do think Mr. Nakamura is a bit of a busybody. The embarrassing question he asked me earlier didn't help his case. I guess she is kinda cute. Claire's a little old-fashioned though. Grandmother ducks her head, pressing her hand against her mouth. I think she's trying not to laugh, but Emery obviously interprets her silence as shyness. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to, offend you. But Emery looks like the kind of girl who'd go to parties every other day. She isn't. I know you because she's my little sister's friend. She spends most of her teenage years at our house, watching talent shows on TV with a Toko. Emery, despite her sharp makeup and her sharp tongue, is actually something of a sweetheart. Nice to me. Well, she's nicer to me than Toko is. And again, most people are nicer to me than Toko is. Oh, it's no worry. It's nice to meet you. You too. Please, this isn't the time for it's very nice to meet yous. It isn't. Oh, just trying to be polite. Something seriously wrong here. Who is this girl, you? Why are you keeping her a secret? Well, the thing is, I'm one of your friends from university. Invited me over during the winter holidays. Always wanted to see the countryside. You mean you came from Tokyo? That's right. Wow, so cool. He's looking at my grandmother with such awe, you'd think she is the second coming of Christ. People who hail from the sea are regarded as a superior species around these parts, particularly amongst girls like Emery and Otoko. Follow fashion magazines with religious zeal, make a point of ordering all their clothes and shoes online. But even if you say that, don't sound like you come from Tokyo. What do you mean, dear? Your accent isn't right. Emery's sharper than she looks. She managed to sleuth out her own father in only a matter of seconds. And again, it's only natural Emery would be able to tell the difference. She and Toko were forever talking about TV dramas set in the city, from what I can remember. True too. People from the city really do talk differently than people from teeny towns like ours. Oh well, maybe I picked it up from talking to you so much. So you talk to you a lot? That's right. Toko lips pursed together. Doesn't look convinced. I don't mind if you want to hang out with your girlfriend, you. Though I can hardly believe a loser like you managed to get a girlfriend in the first place. Well, you shouldn't lie about it. Don't say you're gonna visit Grandma when you're gonna hang out with her instead. Like you think I'm stupid or something. Yeah, if you were meeting somebody from Tokyo, you should have said. It's like common courtesy. Sorry, sometimes my you gets a bit carried away. He can be so rash. Not the word I would use. Totally thoughtless. Hey now, do you think you're being a bit unfair? Not being unfair. You're the one who's unfair, you. Treating like a moron and trying to keep secrets. I wasn't keeping a secret. Why are you with this girl? Why do you even care? Don't think you had any interest in my personal life. And like you can't stand being around me all the time. I don't have any interest in your life, but I don't appreciate being lied to either. Fingers which are resting on my lap beneath the table start to clench. Getting rolled up despite myself. I want to remain calm and level-headed, but that's a Herculean task when I'm with Otoko. He has a way of glaring at me like I'm nothing more than a piece of trash on a street corner. Doesn't even look at me in the eyes when we speak. Not properly. Like she can't bear to be in the same room as me. Why do you always have to blow things out of proportion? You just want to be angry for the sake of being angry. Get that you don't like me. We've never gotten along, but you don't need to turn everything into such a drama. Shouldn't need to ask your permission before I talk to another girl, Toko. I don't see how it has anything to do with you. It's everything to do with me. My family. Family shouldn't keep secrets like this. Like you care. Why don't you just... What? Why don't I just watch you? With my mouth ready to retort with something stupid and hurtful. Not entirely well thought through when... You... My grandmother rests a restraining hand on my shoulder. That's enough. I blink. Red haze fades from my vision. Suddenly I pull back into reality, and I can't call reality all that welcoming. Your reality is cold, prickling, and unpleasant. My grandmother's fruit parfait is slowly melting. All those patrons of this cafe are glaring at me. I sigh. I don't like being the center of attention. Makes me feel awkward and uncomfortable. Sorry, Toko. Didn't mean it like that. I was just... Oh no, you meant every word you said to you, I can tell. Not very good at lying. That's our grandmother. I guess I never thought you were. Toko. But tell me, I don't want to waste any more time on you. Now if you can't even remember my name, let's go, Emery. Right, yeah, let's go. I don't want to stay here anyway. It's like, really plain and tacky. Totally. And as for the people who came here, Loki glances at me. The less said about them, the better. With that, both Emery and Toko take their leave. Door thuds behind them. Toko isn't the kind of person who minds her manners. And the bell rings. In their absence, the cafe suddenly seems a lot quieter. Maybe it's because everyone's still watching us. I stand to my cup of black coffee. My reflection stares back at me. Looks as tired as I feel. Grandmother's parfait is melted into a lukewarm puddle of fruit-flecked sludge at the bottom of her glass. Coffee is stone cold. Fantastic. I sighed deeply. I even went out on my way to buy a present for Toko too. Just want us to get along a little better. So much for that wish. After that dramatic incident in the cafe, all the fun seemed to vanish from my shopping trip with my grandmother. Down my cold coffee in one gulp and consumed my lemon bar in 2 bites. Turns out the second bite is too big for me to manage and I choke. Grandmother has to reach across the table and pat me on the back. It's more than a little embarrassing. She'll be old enough by now to eat my food unaided. Then, after meandering around a few more shops, no longer with any real aim or purpose, the 2 of us go back to my grandmother's home. It sounds simple when I say it like that, but the reality is anything but. Also, it's back to my grandmother's small village running infrequently, especially during the winter months. The snow and ice coat the road. Russ only makes the long, slow run from the village to the town twice a day. The afternoon is more than half an hour late. Fortunately, it isn't snowing, but it is very cold. My fingers feel as though they're about to drop off, particularly those gripping the barrier or carry bag that contains Toko's present. Doubt Toko will even care about her gift, being foolish when I brought it for her. Let myself get swept away in a brief, flickering moment of sentimentality. If I had half a brain, I'd have realized my little sister doesn't care for sentiment. Matters as much to her as old-fashioned jewelry from the 1920s. Which is to say, not a lot. Oh well. We all make mistakes.